Salute, salute. I done got myself in here. Hold on. Salute. Woo. Hold on real quick. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. What's up, y'all? Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Hold on. As I get this position. No, I got to have my stuff right. Or I won't feel right. Whole show be off if it ain't right. What's up, y'all? Shout out to everybody in the building, man. As I attempt to get this under control over here. Shout out to y'all, man. Hold on. Lord have mercy. See, that's why it's always good to come a little early. You know what I'm saying? So I can get this under control. Because if I don't, it'd be all over the place, and I'll be mad. Shout out to all of y'all. What's up, man? What's up, man? We in the building, man. Everything news, man. All right. So the government shutdown is still pushing forward, guys. What's up to everybody out there, man? Make sure y'all double tapping that screen, guys. Get those likes all the way up. If you're on a mobile device, double tap your screen or click those three dots in the right-hand corner. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new, guys. Yesterday there wasn't any resolution, and today it appears to be the same thing. We'll see if they get it right. I see y'all down there. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to the whole entire sidewalk crew. I see y'all down there. What's up, y'all? Yeah, man, we in the building early, man. We got Mike Johnson and the Republicans up first. You know, they held a press conference on day 37 of this government shutdown. Thank you, Miss Pooh Bear. Let's get to it, because we got Trump coming up in a minute. He going live from the Oval Office, guys.
Well, good morning, everyone. Joining us this morning for the latest updates, we have some members of the Republican Governance Group, one of our most active caucuses on the Republican side. These are folks among our friends and colleagues, the most productive, most dedicated, most effective members, because they are people who work every day on solutions for the greatest challenges facing our country. And Carlos Jimenez is with us, and Blake Moore, and Julie Fedorchik, and Gabe Evans. Beth Van Dyne may be joining us. I think she had a flight delay. But they've been out in their districts working very hard to help their constituents navigate through the chaos that's been created by the Democrat shutdown. And if you're keeping count, this is day 37. 37. It seems unbelievable to us that we've gone this long. Guys. It is officially and shamefully the longest shutdown in U.S. history. Republicans feel very helpless about the situation because, as we've noted, there is really nothing for us to negotiate. We sent them a clean CR, as you know, back in September 19th. We passed it out of the House. It feels like a lifetime ago. But that was a nonpartisan measure. It was 24 pages in length. It has no Republican priorities on it at all. It was merely the status quo to keep the lights on so that the members of Congress, and the Republican and Democrat Party, could work together to finish the government funding appropriations process. And the Democrats tried to turn that into a game. Now, we're gonna give you the latest updates on that and where we think this is headed. But I just first want to address in a bit more detail the current state of our politics. It has been very interesting to us to see all the pundits trying to spin the results of the election on Tuesday. I just want to point out some simple facts here, and as usual, I try to be concise and give you the highlights here. But there's some things that we really need to point out. First, there were no surprises on Tuesday night. Okay, you had blue states and blue cities that voted blue, to the alarm of no one, to the surprise of no one. That was what was expected. It just so happened that New York and New Jersey and Virginia were the states that were in the national spotlight.
Make sure y'all double tapping that screen. Get the likes up, guys. Day 37, which is today.
We have an entirely different narrative that you all would be writing about. Don't lose the simple facts. Second, the big headline that everyone is writing about appropriately is that the future of the Democrats was set in New York City. A 34-year-old Marxist is now the leader of the Democratic Party, and it is a very dangerous road for them to go down. I want to say this because there's lots been said about the Mamdani campaign. It is very easy to run and win as a socialist, right? All you do is promise
West
everything to
Side,
everyone for free.
KC,
What a great message that is. Boy, that really resonates
Mr.
for people who
D.
don't study history. And while you're making all those promises, you hope that they never realize the trap that you're actually setting, the impossibility of fulfilling your fantastical claims and dreams, and the extreme danger and chaos that would result if you ever could. When you run as a socialist, you have to hope that they never understand that this will lead to the inevitable
Miss Terry?
loss of their freedom, their opportunity, and their security, the loss of meritocracy and fairness in society, the loss of colorblindness, and the loss of emphasis on character, and the morality and the personal incentive and the common sense that we rely upon to keep a republic in operation. If you run as a socialist, you run on a big list of false claims, and you promise everything to everyone and you can't deliver, and if you were ever able to deliver, it will be to the great detriment of the very people that you lured in to vote for you. Third fact about the election on Tuesday night is that the Democrats, and you all are not writing about this, and you should be, not writing enough about it, the Democrats have now set themselves on a collision course in their own tent. If you look at Spanberger in Virginia and Sherrill in New Jersey, they tried to run as moderate pragmatists. That's how they self-described. But they will be no match for the coming communist wave taking over their party right now. The energy is on the side of the Marxists. Look no further than the top two Democrats here in Congress. We've noted this here every day. They had to bend the knee to the socialists. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are both from New York. The top Democrat leader in the House and the top Democrat leader in the Senate, they couldn't get around that. And so Hakeem had to ultimately embrace it. He had to give the full blessing to Mamdani and his agenda. And he co-owns it. And Chuck Schumer flirted with it. He pandered all along. He flirted with that open endorsement till the better end, even though Mamdani is an activist against Israel and an anti-Semite. Chuck Schumer is the highest-ranked Jewish official in America, and he couldn't bring himself to disclaim that. And as we've noted here every day, the sole reason for the entire federal government being shut down now, the sole reason for all the American people suffering all this pain and hardship, is because of the fear of political retribution from the far-left activists who run the Democrat Party. That is the motivation for the shutdown. It's never been about any policy issue at all. It was only so that they could show a fight and try to show that they're tough to this rising far-left activist base in the party. The old guard has been repudiated, and the radicals are taking over the Democratic Party. We have evidence now every day. Yesterday, Jared Golden announced he would not be running for re-election in the state of Maine. He's a moderate, and he has no place in his party anymore. And then this morning, you saw the headline. Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi has now announced her retirement this morning. That is a very important sign that you all will delve into. Even the famous San Francisco liberal is not far left in the...
Everybody take a second to double tap the screen of your mobile device. If you're watching from a phone, guys, it's how you hit the like button, or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up, and most definitely make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you're new. This is Mike Johnson and the Republican Party speaking on the government shutdown, day 37. Let's get the likes up. Double tap that screen or click those three dots in the right-hand corner and hit the thumbs up. This is today's news, guys. This is today's news.
For the neo-Marxists. We commend her for her services. We all do, everyone who serves in Congress, but there should be a lot written about that. Fourth point I just want to make in the aftermath of Tuesday is that off-year election results in isolated places are never indicative of the upcoming midterm election. Don't read too much into that. You shouldn't. If you do, you're going to miss it. The GOP is in excellent position to win big next year. And when I say I'm bullish about the midterms, we absolutely are, and there's a lot of reasons for that. This is not groundless optimism. It's based on facts. The reason we're in such a great position is because we are united. And while the Democrats engage in their emerging civil war, Republicans are going to continue to work and deliver for all the new voters that we brought into the party last fall in 2024. There was a true demographic shift in that election, as you know. Record number of Hispanic and Latino voters, Black and African American voters, Jewish voters, union workers, urban voters, young people. And while they say that there's this big swell of enthusiasm of young people based on what happened in New York City Tuesday night, I would give to you Exhibit A on our side. Maybe you're not noticing But the turning point events at college campuses all around the country are setting records for attendance. You have hundreds of thousands of new young people weekly coming into the movement that are enthusiastic, young conservatives who are looking for truth, who believe in America's founding principles, and who want to be engaged. And they will be engaged in next year's midterms. The third reason is we got a very favorable map. You shouldn't miss this either. I was very bullish even before the current redistricting battles began. As we sit here today, there are 13 House Democrats sitting in districts that President Trump won. There's another 21 of them in districts he came within 5 points of winning. There's only three, conversely, there's only 3 House Republicans sitting in districts that Kamala Harris won. That's a lopsided map. And after redistricting, we think we'll net a few more seats, handful, maybe 6 to 8. We're in very good position to make history and grow this majority. And finally, I'll just leave you with this. The reason we're so enthusiastic about running next year is we have a real record to run on.
Hey guys, we need the likes over 100, guys. Double tap that screen if you're on the mobile device and click those 3 dots. There's no reason why we should have 500 and some people in the building and only have 58 likes. Let's double tap that screen or click those 3 dots and hit that thumbs up or evacuate the building. Either whichever one y'all want to do is fine with me. But we most definitely need to get these likes up. We need 40 more likes. Double tap that screen, guys, or click the 3 dots, hit the thumbs up. It helps out the channel, man. This is current news. This is Mike Johnson and the Republicans speaking on government shutdown day 37, guys. Trump is due to give a speech any second from the Oval Office. We'll most definitely catch that as well. Shout out to everybody in the building. I appreciate y'all all. Most definitely, please get those likes up.
Mondami and Democrats want to talk about affordability? We love that subject. We love it. Look at the facts. I brought some this morning. It's the Republicans who are working every day to make life more affordable for working families. And it's not a talking point for us. We are delivering. After 4 long years of skyrocketing prices under the Biden administration, we had to take over. You don't flip a switch and reverse that overnight. It takes a while to work those policies out of the system and to get the new ones in. President Trump and Republicans are delivering results for the American people that they can see and feel. To date, we've seen core inflation is nearing its lowest level in 4 years. Gas prices have fallen to a 4-year low. Prices for everyday goods continue to decline, and blue-collar workers are seeing the largest increase in wage growth in nearly 6 decades. That's the result of our policies. In Congress, House Republicans are working hand in hand with President Trump to advance his affordability agenda. It is President Trump who ran on that. It's President Trump who's delivering on that. And we are all partners in that new effort to make America great again. It begins with the economy, and we know that. We're laser focused on making a difference in the lives of hardworking American families. Here's another demonstration, the Working Families Tax Cut. It is aptly named. It's the largest tax cut in U.S. history for working and middle-class Americans. You got Bernie Sanders running around. They talking about the billionaires. It's not this.
Y'all kill me every time y'all call him Grinder Boy Mike. Man, people said that's not true. I don't know how true it is, but I do notice that people say it every day when I cover what's going on in the government and they show him speaking. Y'all call him Grinder Boy Mike. That is crazy, man. Talking about Mike Johnson. Wow. Man, let's continue to get those likes up. Double tap that screen, guys. We're almost there. Continue to double tap that screen if you're on the mobile device. That's how you hit that like button. I only keep asking because it helps out the channel, guys. So double tap that screen if you don't mind. Get those likes up. Or you can click the 3 dots in the right-hand corner and hit that thumbs up. Shout out to the love, man. Appreciate that gift. Positive vibe. Thank y'all for the gifts, man. Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all.
That's the opposite of the truth. Look at the facts. That bill was written for lower and middle-class earners, and they are the ones that will feel the positive effects going into next year. We included in that, as you know, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, real tax relief for seniors. These are the kinds of things that people feel when they see that we're making good on our promises. We've made historic investments in American energy dominance to drive down the cost of gasoline and groceries.
What's up, Josh?
And we're grounding every decision we make in common sense. That's what we restored. That's what we ran on. That's what we're delivering. A return to common sense. Not the woke progressive nonsense that they delivered for 4 years. Not the spending like drunken sailors that drove cost up for everything with inflation. We're restoring common sense, fiscal responsibility. We're good stewards of taxpayer dollars, and we're refusing to cave right now today. to the Democrats' wild demand to spend $1.5 trillion in new spending. That is taxpayer dollars, that's your money, that they want to spend to reopen the government. That's their counterproposal. That's why we're not having a negotiation with them. It's ridiculous. Included in the $1.5 trillion that they want to spend is $200 billion, almost $200 billion to restore healthcare benefits to illegal aliens. That is taxpayer money that they want to spend for that. They want to send billions of dollars back overseas for social programs in foreign countries. We're not doing that. They want to give $500 million back to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to prop up left-leaning news organizations. We're not doing that. And by the way, in the middle of all this, they want to cut $50 billion from the Rural
Appreciate it,
Hospital
Josh.
Fund. They can't tell you they care about health care since they put that in their proposal. We're grounding every decision in common sense. And Democrats had their chance. When they controlled Washington, look at the history. Don't forget it. This was just a year ago. You know what we inherited? They left us with a 40-year high inflation, higher taxes and energy prices, and massive instability around the world. And what did they do in June of this year? This is the most recent history no one can forget. They voted against no tax on tips. They voted against no taxes on Social Security. They voted against a larger child tax credit. The Democrats in the House and Senate voted against lower energy prices, against more American manufacturing and jobs, and against lowering health care premiums by 12%. That provision, the cost sharing reduction provision, was in the House version of the Working Families Tax Cut, the big beautiful bill. We sent it over to the Senate, and they worked to strike it out of the bill. Ask the Senate Democrats about that.
We still playing the blame game.
It created a mess for America with this pointless government shutdown. The Democrats will tell you that they're feeling emboldened. They're feeling emboldened because they had a few blue state election results. It does not change the fact that they have walked their party off a cliff with no parachute and no path forward. The reason we're stuck right now is because of one simple fact. If they vote to reopen the government, the Senate Democrats are afraid that the radicals in their party will say that they caved. They're afraid of the retribution that will come from that. But if they keep the government shut down, they know very well, as we all do, that millions of Americans will continue to suffer as essential services remain unfunded and paychecks to federal workers continue to stay stalled. So our question for Democrats this morning is this: which constituency matters more? The loud radicals in your party or the hardworking American people? I can tell you which side the Republicans are on. 15 times we voted for the hardworking American people. And 15 times so far, the Democrats in Congress have voted for the radicals in their party. It is unconscionable to us that they've allowed it to go on this long. And at some point, all you can do is pray that common sense prevails. And that's what I've been doing a lot of. We hope and pray that there are still Democrats out there. There's just a handful. We need 5 more votes. 5 centrist, common sense Democrats in the Senate to come to those senses and do the right thing. It's time for them to put their country first.
Both sides.
I'm delighted to.
I'm with you.
Introduce.
Yeah, because to me, it's both sides at fault of this, man. You know, each one I'm trying to blame the Democrats blaming the Republicans blaming the Democrats. But at the end of the day, it's both parties' fault while Americans are suffering right now. That's my opinion. You know, I allow everybody to have their own opinion in the chat. You know, most definitely voice it. Keep it respectful of people who don't think like you think. But I'm one of those people who feel like it's both parties' fault. But so I agree with whoever said that in the chat.
The next speaker, and he's a congressman from Miami. He's a former mayor of the county down there, and he's been in charge. He served as a police officer, but he was the chief of the fire department down there. I mean, the guy's resume is longer than almost anybody in Congress. And as a son of a firefighter, I always take personal delight in reminding everybody he's the only career firefighter paramedic in Congress. He's doing a great job, and he serves as vice chairman of the Republican Governance Group, one of our largest and most active caucuses I mentioned. And we're truly grateful to have him here to discuss some of these consequences of the government shutdown. Glad to have you. Carlos, come on up.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And if you indulge me, I think you brought me up here to talk about the shutdown, but I will stray a little bit. I'm the only Cuban-born member of Congress. That means I was born in Cuba. I was not born here in the United States. I didn't speak a word of English until I got here. I was 7 years old.
You better stop telling Trump them that. Oh, that's why you're a Republican. You trying to avoid getting deported. Lord, have mercy. Yeah, you got to be careful where you say you from these days. They might get you up out of here.
And the reason I'm here is that my parents brought me here seeking freedom. Freedom from communism, freedom from a Marxist regime. And so I can tell you that I know a communist and a Marxist when I see one. They may call themselves socialists, they may call themselves a democratic socialist, but make no mistake, Mondami in New York, he's a Marxist. And the thing that bothers me is he's very proud to say, well, I'm young, I'm this, I'm that, I'm Muslim. I understand you can be proud of that. But then, if you're so proud, don't call yourself a democratic socialist. You are a Marxist. Go ahead. Tell people exactly who you are. He couldn't, and he can't because he knew he wouldn't get elected. But I hope that the people of New York do not suffer the same consequences that my homeland of Cuba has suffered. Castro and the Castro regime destroyed my homeland. They can't even keep the lights on. They don't have food, they don't have medicine, they can't keep the lights on. It's a total disaster of an island, a beautiful island that actually had the second highest standard of living in the Western Hemisphere when the regime took over. And so one of the reasons I'm in Congress, the primary reason.
Hey guys, try to keep those likes moving. Double tap that screen if you have not. If you just got here, make sure you double tapping that screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up, guys. This is the Republican Party on the government shutdown, day 37, man. It's crazy, man. We got Trump coming up later. Make sure y'all keep those likes moving, and most definitely subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's not hard. Double tap the screen of your mobile device if you're on the phone, or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. I appreciate y'all.
That I'm in Congress is that I want to make sure that my children and grandchildren never suffer the same fate that my parents did, having to leave their country and bring us to a new country with about $10 in their pocket. Now, that's what makes this country great. My parents came here with $10 in their pocket and a watch. By the way, I still have that watch. All right. And here I am. Their son was a firefighter. He was a city manager, he was a county commissioner, county mayor of the largest county in the state of Florida, and now a member of Congress. I don't think there's too many countries that you can say that can happen. That's why I love this country. That's why I will fight for this country. And again, I know a Marxist when I see one. And it's unfortunate that the Democrat Party is heading that way, which means we just have to fight that much harder. Here to talk about the shutdown, and so, I'm Congressman Carlos Jimenez again. I represent the state of Florida, Miami, and the Keys. Today I'm standing in for my friend, RG2 Chairman David Valadeo of California, with one clear message, and I want to thank also the other members of RG2 that are here. The Republican Governance Group focus has always been about governing responsibly. RG2 is committed to putting results ahead of rhetoric, keeping the government functioning, and finding practical common sense solutions that improve the lives of the American people. That's what we're here to do. And that means that we do what's right, even when it's hard. Yes, we're here on day 37 of the Democrat government shutdown, and with each passing day, more Americans are feeling the impact. The effects in my hometown or in my state. In my home state of Florida, 155,000 federal employees have not received their paychecks. Close to 2 million Floridians who rely on SNAP, including more than 1 million children, will not be getting their benefits. My colleagues on the other side insist we have chosen, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have chosen politics over food security for millions of Americans. Small business loans are being delayed, totaling nearly $300 million in missed distributions, costing our state estimated $1.7 billion in economic benefit alone. Starting Friday, 10% of the American airspace is going to be reduced because of the shutdowns ahead of the busy holiday season. More than 3,500 flights will either be delayed or canceled altogether. That's true effect of the shutdown. Let me be clear, holding the government hostage is not a responsible way to negotiate policy. On September 19th, the House of Representatives voted to extend government funding to keep the government open. And as the Speaker said, with a clean CR. There were no riders there. There's no policy differences. It's actually a Biden budget, right? And so, you know, what is the problem? No, there is no problem. It's politics. That's the problem. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats have voted 14, now you say 15 times to keep the government closed. The funding bill before the Senate is the same short-term continuing resolution that we passed 15 times under President Biden with bipartisan support. And I supported each and every one of them to keep the government open. And I know that most, if not all, the members of RG2 also voted for the CRs to keep the government funded. We can and should debate serious issues like healthcare costs, but not at the expense of hardworking American families. I urge my Senate Democrat colleagues to pass the continuing resolution so that we can reopen the government and return to the table to negotiate real solutions. History shows that when Congress works together, we can find solutions without inflicting pain on the American people. I urge Senate Democrats again to reopen the government, end the suffering, and then join us in crafting meaningful bipartisan policy meant to improve the lives of everyday Americans. That's how we govern responsibly, and that's how we serve the American people. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I guess now I want to turn the dais over to our Majority Leader, Steve Scalise.
20 more people.
Thank you,
Double tap
Carlos.
their screen, guys, if you're on the mobile
And what an
device.
honor
Get
it
the
is
likes
to
up.
follow my dear friend Carlos Jimenez, who really is the epitome of the American dream. You know, when you hear stories like his, you know, sad stories, the root of it, you know, having to flee your home country because Cuba fell to Marxism, to communism. But luckily, for people like Carlos, all around the world, there's one place that they can look to if they want a North Star. If they still believe in freedom, they yearn for that desire, and then it fails in their home country, they can look to the United States because the United States represents freedom all around the world. And how dangerous of a position that is when Marxists from within try to change it here, try to unravel what makes America so great.
Thank
And
you,
as
Ms.
Carlos
Lee.
came to seek that freedom that millions others have as well, like my great-grandparents who came from Italy to seek that same freedom. Ronald Reagan said it best: freedom is only one generation away from extinction if we don't fight to defend it. Those words of Reagan still ring true today because, Carlos, we will continue to fight for freedom. But it's not an empty fight. There are people on the other side here in America that are pushing back, that want to destroy that capitalist free market system. And so when you look at the results of the election, anybody that wants to go celebrate a blue state voting blue, what they're not acknowledging is what happened in a city like New York. It reverberates. When New York elects a Marxist as their mayor, there are other Democrats that are now looking and saying, does the Democrat Party represent me anymore? And today you heard it again. Democrats are the ones who are looking and saying that they're done with the Democrat Party. Jared Golden yesterday announced he's not going to run again. And he didn't just say he wasn't going to run again because he got tired of serving in Congress. I think it's really important to pay attention to what Jared Golden said. And he is in a swing district. Jared Golden is one of those moderate Democrats who represents maybe the old Democrat Party now, what was discarded by the voters on Democrat cities and states. But it's not where America is. So when Jared Golden announced yesterday he's not going to run again, he said, quote, "We're allowing the most extreme pugilistic elements of our party to call the shots. Just look again at the shutdown. For as long as I can remember, we have opened We have opposed shutting down the government over policy disputes. We criticized Republicans for taking hostages this way. That was Jared Golden explaining why he's done with being a Democrat in Congress. And when the Democrat Party no longer stands for common sense, for members that do on occasion reach across the aisle, they're going to be relegated to a scrap heap of history, because America is not a socialist nation.
I'm going to say this. How's it just the Democrats? I see y'all down there saying it's the Democrats' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. How's it just the Democrats when both parties are unwilling to negotiate? It's not just the Democrats. It's both parties, in my opinion.
While the Democrat Party has turned their leadership structure over to a socialist, it's not where America is. And if they're running people like Jared Golden out of their party, they can go celebrate the results of last night's election. Again, if Alabama held an election also Tuesday, and gee whiz, a Republican governor was elected governor of Alabama, would anybody be writing a story about it? Of course not. So let them go celebrate New Jersey electing a Democrat governor, New York City electing a Democrat. The real concern is that the Cuomo wing of the Democrat Party got destroyed by the Mandami wing of the Democrat Party. And if they want to call that a victory, good luck. Something tells me they're not going to be sending Mandami to swing districts around America. He's not going to Maine. Let Mandami go to Maine for that now open seat in Congress, a 50-50 district. Will they be sending Mandami to those kind of swing districts? Colorado, where somebody like Gabe Evans represents, is Mandami going to be going there? Because that's where their party is now headed. And they chose that. But America is not embracing that form of socialism. We know what you get from socialism. You get the promises of free everything. But Americans know innately there's no such thing as a free lunch. All you end up with, the results, are the hollow promises and the failures that come with those promises, because you know you get what you pay for. And somebody else is going to have to pay for that free thing. And a lot of those rich people they love denouncing are leaving. Many have already left. So even when they go raise taxes even more with the highest rates you can imagine, who's going to pay those higher rates? It's not going to be the millionaires and billionaires. Many of them have already left. It's going to be hardworking families in New York City. Good news for you, you might be making $100,000 a year. By the way, a police officer married to a school teacher makes more than that in New York City. They're going to be the quote unquote rich who get the higher taxes and the free buses and the grocery stores that are run by the government with empty shelves and expired food. That's what they're going to get. But the rest of America is not going to have it. So while Democrats keep the government shut down, and they brag about it, I mean, you heard Senator Murphy yesterday, quote, "I think we're in an enormously strong position right now." Strong position? What's so strong about taking food out of the mouths of 42 American families? What is strong about that, Senator? Sure, you can vote again today to keep the government shut down, but there's nothing strong about denying food to people who are low income and who can't afford it. That's a weak place to be. But that's what they're bragging about. When, as we saw, the transportation secretary yesterday said 10% of flights are going to have to be cut back because we don't have enough air traffic controllers, because Democrats chose not to pay them. And so people are getting ready to go travel to see their family, hopefully, for Thanksgiving. But they're not going to be able to get that flight. They're going to have to leave a day or two earlier to drive.
Hey, guys, take time to double tap that screen. Get the likes up. We should have well over 300 by now. Double tap the screen on your mobile device and click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. It helps out the channel, guys. Continue to hit that like button. Double tap the screen on your mobile device or click those three dots in the right-hand corner, hit that thumbs up.
Maybe they won't be able to fly, but don't worry. Some Democrat senator thinks he's in a stronger position because he's now leveraged Americans as pawns in some game. That's what they think this is. It's disgusting. And the American people are catching on. And so while Democrats applaud socialism being the new wave of their party, the few common sense Democrats left in their party are leaving, running for the exits.
Thank you to
You
everybody
might be
that hit
able
the
to leave
like
New
button.
York City and go to Florida or Texas or somewhere else. But if they destroy America, there's nowhere else to go. That's why we're going to fight for freedom every single day. And their approach to Marxism, socialism, whatever you want to call it, will not prevail in America. Our whip, Tom Emmer.
Who do you believe, the Republicans or the Democrats? Let me know.
It's day 37 of the Democrat government shutdown, and one thing has become clearer, more clear now than ever. The Democrat Party of today is not your grandparents' Democrat Party. They refuse to govern. They resort to hostage taking when they don't get their way. They routinely put politics before people. And now they have made communists and assassination fantasizers the pillars of their party. Democrats claim they want to make life more affordable for hardworking Americans, but
Whoever said I agree with the facts, I feel you. Most definitely, I always go with the facts.
every time that they've had the majorities in Congress and a Democrat president in the White House, they've done the exact opposite. Take the American Rescue Plan under Joe Biden, for example, which was later deemed by economic experts as the, quote, original sin that led to double-digit inflation. Or look at the Affordable Care Act, which is so unaffordable, they have to pay people to use it. The Democrats have no moral high ground to stand on when it comes to good governance. They don't know what it is.
Thank you,
And when
Ms.
they
Ted.
claim that they're fighting for you, do not believe them. Because if this shutdown has taught us anything, it's that the Democrats will willingly inflict pain on the American people if they think it gives them political leverage. Their kamikaze politicians and their constituents deserve better. In stark contrast, however, Republicans have done our jobs. We passed a nonpartisan government funding bill out of the House over a month ago. All we need, as the Speaker said earlier, is just 5 Democrats in the Senate to grow a spine, stand up to the radicals in their party, and join us in getting our clean CR to the president's desk. Enough is enough. It's past time for Democrats to end the political games and reopen the government for the people they were elected to serve. Our conference chair, Lisa McClain.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Again, here we are. Yesterday, Americans woke up to an unthinkable
Thank you.
reality. And Carlos touched on it earlier. A communist was elected mayor in America's largest
what is the financial?
city. How did this
Francia,
happen?
thank you.
Ask yourself, how did this happen? It happened because a small socialist portion of this country took control of the Democrat Party. A party that is now apparently united behind a socialist agenda. And slogans always seem to start with the same word: free. Free food, free rent, free buses, right? I feel like I'm at an Oprah Winfrey show. You get a car and you get a car. Well, this isn't the Oprah Winfrey show. And like many of you, my parents taught me a really good lesson when I was young. Nothing is free. Everything comes with a cost. Absolutely nothing is free. We all learned that. Look no further than the Democrats' disastrous shutdown plan. They want to give free health care to illegals. Come to our country. We'll give you, illegally mind you, we'll give you free health care on the backs of hard-working Americans. And In demanding that, they're asking for 1.5 trillion in wasteful spending and a painful shutdown. A shutdown that has denied food assistance.
Trillions and billions. That's all I keep on hearing. Trillions and billions while the American people are suffering. Y'all need to take us into account while y'all talking about these trillions and billions. Because it's people right now that can't put food on the table. They ain't got trillions or billions. Some people ain't even got $100. I'm just saying.
To 42 million American families. 42 million American families. A shutdown that has forced law enforcement to work without pay. But don't worry, I'm sure those law enforcement agents can go and get free food from their local grocery store. And somebody
Hold on, guys. I hate to interrupt the show. Let's get don't just delete what he said. Get him up out of here talking about be quiet black man. Yeah, we gonna deport you whatever color you are. It don't even matter. Yeah, you ain't got a green card on this channel to be disrespectful. We gonna holler at you, sir. Grab the nearest rocket and fly away into the atmosphere to where you should never return. We'll holler at you.
pay their free rent, right? Yeah, I live in reality, not fantasy. The Democrats want to jeopardize our national security. And now, flights have been reduced by 10% at 40 of our major airports. I think air traffic, like when you get on a plane, what's next? Like your plane rides are going to be free too? I mean, why stop at food and buses? Let's just give everything free. It doesn't work like that, people. Nothing's free. Somebody is paying. And who pays? Anybody want to guess who pays? Hardworking taxpayers, American taxpayers. That's who pay. Nothing's free, right? Nothing is free. Look at your Republican leaders. Just compare and contrast. That's why we voted more than a month ago to actually fund the government. That's why we've been working in our districts to help those that are suffering. And that's why we are delivering real results that drive down gas prices and drive down mortgage rates and drive down the price of eggs. No one's reporting on the price of eggs anymore, right? Now, not for illegals, not for radicals, and not for communists who despise this country, but for the men and women who love America, like Carlos and his family who came over. And let's keep it that way. And let's make sure that we keep America strong every day. So to the Democrats, let me be clear. Republicans will still be there when your communist lawmakers aren't. And when your communist kingmakers finally give you permission to put Americans first again, Republicans will still be here. We'll still be here when your socialist experiment collapses, because it always does. And we'll still be standing shoulder to shoulder with the hardworking Americans who aren't demanding free groceries, free buses, free rent. No, we will be standing shoulder to shoulder, demanding nothing less than freedom. That is what Republicans demand, freedom.
Free food, free groceries, free what? What about the people that actually go to work that can't make ends meet? What about the veterans? What about old people and disabled people who depend on that? Like, you can't just look at it like it's people out here that's just freeloading off the government. Don't get it twisted. There are some, but then there are really people who really depend on this as well, as far as like military veterans, disabled people, you know, things of that nature, old people. What about them?
Because that's what makes this country great. Not socialism, not government control, but freedom. Thank you.
All right, questions? Yeah, go ahead.
The Supreme Court and specifically Justice Gorsuch yesterday seemed concerned about the Trump administration's usurping congressional authority, calling it, quote, one-way ratchet that came from your side. What's your response to that? Are justices right to be concerned that Congress is fulfilling its constitutional obligations?
I don't find myself in disagreement with Justice Gorsuch too often, but I think he's missed the mark on this one. First of all, I don't think you should read too much into the the questioning that you heard at the Supreme Court, I mean, this is part of judicial review.
Oh,
It's
no.
a cherished part of that tradition. I used to
Oh
be-
no, we're not a biased channel, sir. Just wait on it. The Democrats are coming up here in a second. We most definitely show both sides. We're gonna let the Republicans talk, and then we're gonna let the Democrats talk. We most definitely are gonna show both sides.
One of those litigators. I did constitutional law oral argument, and I would have liked to have argued that case yesterday, because I think the law is clearly on the side of what the administration has done. I'll remind you that I'm a jealous guardian of Article 1. You know, the legislative branch of government in our constitutional system is the most important. It was placed first in prominence. And that's true. And while Congress has a role to play in tariffs and related trade and economic policy, the executive branch does as well. And I think the president has used that well within the bounds of what he's allowed to do, because he's addressing what was truly a crisis for the country. The trade disparity had gone on for decades. It was creating a real imbalance, and it was adversely affecting American people and consumers. Remember that he ran on this idea. He talked about tariffs on the campaign trail, and he got a popular and electoral college mandate in the election. So this is not some surprise. He's fulfilling the promise that he was elected to fulfill in a literal sense. So I think the court has to give deference to that. I think the court has to recognize the executive is doing what they're doing. He's using tariffs to create leverage in our trade strategy, and it is yielding great results for the American people. And heaven forbid if it were reversed, because it would create chaos, which is one of the questions I think Justice Barrett asked, my old friend from Louisiana. I mean, that was
Here y'all
an
go with
important
this
question,
grinder
because it
again.
would set
Lord
back
have
all of
mercy.
the strategy and the trade agreements and a lot of the things that have been accomplished for the people. So in summary, I would say, don't read too much into the questions. This is how the process works. I'm sure the court will look at this very carefully and deliberately, as they do, and I expect that we'll have a majority of the court that says that this administration is doing what they have the legal authority to do. If I felt like the executive branch had overstepped its bounds on trade or on the tariffs or something, I would have stepped in. I mean, that's my job as the Speaker of the House over the legislative branch. I would have done it in my own way, to be candid. I would have gone to the president privately and said, hey, sir, enough. I think you've overstepped the bounds. Let's try to figure that out. I wouldn't have publicly had a big spat with him, because it wouldn't have been necessary. But that conversation didn't happen, because I believe that what he's done is well within the bounds. And so we'll see what the court does. Yes.
Leader Thune has sent out a number of indications that in exchange for reopening government, he will promise Democrats a vote money savings by a date certain. Will you do the same now?
He promised it a long time ago, and he was rebuffed. I mean, that's not what this is about. I mean, they've demonstrated over and over and over. Somebody said this is the Seinfeld shutdown. It's about nothing. If you brought in 100 Senate and House Democrats right now and said, what is it about? They wouldn't even give you the same answer. They don't even know. They filed a counter proposal that's $1.5 trillion in new spending with all the crazy abuses that I listed earlier today. That's still sitting out there. That's the counter proposal. Then they tried to say it was about health care. That was never the issue for the September 30th fiscal cliff. That was always a December issue. We always knew, everybody in the building knew, we were going to have to wrestle through that and come to a consensus on a solution on the COVID-era Obamacare subsidies in October, November, December. And ironically, they're eating up all the clock where that would have been done. It's not about any of this. It's about politics, as we explained earlier. They are more afraid of the radical activists who are running the Democratic Party right now than they are of starving families, having families go hungry and having federal workers go without paychecks. That's just a simple fact. So yes, Leader Thune has been over backwards. He's offered them a vote. You know what they told him in response? No, we need you to guarantee the outcome of that vote. Well, that's ridiculous. That can't be done. No, because we did our job, and I'm not part of the negotiation. The House did its job on September 19th. I'm not promising anybody anything. I'm going to let this process play out. I'll tell you what they wanted. I'll tell you what Schumer and Jeffries wanted. In fact, Chuck Schumer said it publicly and decried that Thune and I would not go in a back room with them and make a four corners agreement on Obamacare subsidies. And I said, there's no way. That it was never possible or appropriate for that to be handled on a CR, on a short-term stopgap funding measure. And he knows that. And we're not doing that anymore. We're not taking four corners, four leaders in a back room and making a deal and hoisting it upon the people. I'm not going to be a part of that. Chuck Schumer is part of the old way this was done, and that's part of the reason why people have such a lack of trust in Congress. We need to be transparent, open. We need to do it through the process. We need to involve and engage all of our caucuses and all of our members in this discussion. Healthcare is very complicated. It is very complex, and it is not something four people can go in a smoke-filled room in the back and make a deal on. I reject it. Yes. look, I've spoken with the president about it. I reminded him, as I said this morning, this was not a surprise to us. I mean, blue states elected blue leaders. I mean, yeah, so what? I mean, it would have been a huge headline if we could have had an upset there, but that was to be expected. As Leader Scalise said, I mean, you know, if the three big elections yesterday would have been in, you know, Louisiana, Alabama, and Texas, you'd have a totally different narrative, right? Or name any red state. It just so happened that those were the blue states. That was the blue outcomes. That's what everybody expected. I don't read too much into that. Yes, front row. One.
Two questions. One, about the shutdown, you said 48-hour notice for the lost return. Does that include this weekend? And then a question for you, in return from the claim. Egg prices are going on the headlines, but food prices themselves are still going up. Grocery prices are still going up. How do you measure that?
Yeah, but the USDA has reported, and all of the economists have shown, food prices always go up. There's an inflationary level that's built into grocery prices, but they're going up at a much slower pace. In other words, the economic policies, even though all the provisions of the Working Families Tax Cut have not yet been implemented, that's going to make a dramatic effect. It's going to be like jet fuel to the economy. We have all these pro-growth policies that will bring down costs, increase wages, increase jobs, and
Well, we can't wait to see it. Y'all need to hurry up and put that into effect. A tax cut for working families. Yeah, okay. We want to see it. Right now, they only talking about the billionaire tax cuts. That 1%. Yeah, us as working people, most definitely need to see what you're talking about reflected on our paychecks and in our grocery stores.
or access to the economic rung so that more people can climb up the ladder. But in the meantime, even the fact that we have made these positive steps and momentum, grocery prices are rising at their slowest level in many years. You should look into that. So, I mean, that is an exhibit C, and the argument that it's Republican policy.
No, don't let them grow on a slow level. They need to be going down, not up. We don't care about how slow they going up. We want them to come down fast. What are we talking about?
That are the only thing that's going to bring that down. The reason that your grocery prices are so high, it's multifaceted. But it's because we had 4 years of Bidenomics. Remember when they tried to tell you that Bidenomics was so good for you and your family, and everybody went, "What are you
Fix
talking
it,
about?"
Jesus!
That's part of the reason we shellacked them in the election last fall, because they were trying to sell you a bill of goods that wasn't true. And the reason that inflation rose is because, as was noted earlier, the big signature pieces of legislation that they passed in the Biden administration were disastrous for the economy. And it made inflation rise rapidly. Why? Because when you pour more dollars into the economy, that is the effect. It's just as sure as gravity. It's basic.
Now, I know we can't all agree on everything, but I know we agree on that. Can the chat tell Mike Johnson, the Republicans, the Democrats, and Trump, everybody, to fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it? You know what I'm saying? Because it is broken. If Biden broke it, y'all need to fix it. I'm just saying, fix it and fix it fast.
And the Marxists and the socialists who are taking over the Democratic Party turn a blind eye to the reality
Fix
of
it.
basic economics, and you're going to see the effects of that as well. Yes. No, I do believe that the demographic shift that we were able to
Shout out to everybody
see
that's saying
and experience
fix
in the
it.
2024 election will hold. I believe that large numbers of those new voters and these demographics that have not traditionally been with the Republican Party are with us. I will point you to the study that the Democrats themselves paid for that came out, a week or so ago, and they had, I think, hundreds of thousands of respondents to these polls. And the Democrats determined in their own analysis that they are regarded as
Right.
weak,
Quit playing the
woke,
blame
out of touch
game.
with the people. Okay, that's why they lost last November, and that's why they're going to lose this coming November. Okay, as Carlos Jimenez said, as a Cuban who came here, his family immigrated here. He came here with 7. This is the American dream. I know that the Hispanic and Latino populations across this country understand which party is delivering for them, and they're going to feel that positive effect. They're going to feel increased wages and more opportunity.
Thank you.
And before they get to that election next fall. And that's why we did the big, beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, so early in the year, because we wanted that to really take hold after the beginning of the year so that people will feel that. And we're convinced they will, and I think that's going to inure to our benefit. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. All right, so that was the Republican Party basically on their stance of this government shutdown. Let's see if Trump done. Trump still ain't came yet. All right, so we heard from the Republicans. Now it's time to hear from the Democrats, guys. Let's go. Oh, man, what's going on? Wonder why I can't hear you. The Democrats' mic broke.
SNAP funded
There we go.
and families fed. Even then, Trump has had to be forced, kicking and screaming, to comply. Unfortunately, most SNAP recipients will only receive about 50% of their benefits, and it could take weeks for them to receive because of Trump's delays. This means that over 40 million Americans on SNAP will not receive their full benefits as long as the government remains closed. Americans deserve more than just 50% of their benefits.
Oh, yeah. See, remember I told y'all Trump is only willing to pay half right now. And then he said that he's not going to even give the half until the government reopens. So they're kind of, bullying around the Democrats right now. They standing on what they standing on, the Republicans and Trump. Trump won't even negotiate with the Democrats until the government is open. Hey, take time to double tap that screen, guys. If you have not, that's how you hit the like button. If you're on a mobile device, double tap that screen or click the three dots in the right hand corner. Hit that thumbs up, man. Day 37 of the government shutdown. We just heard from the Republicans. Now we're going to hear from the Democrats, man. We are fair over here. We want to hear both sides because that's how you get to the truth, guys. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. This is Everything News, and I'm most definitely keeping y'all up to date with what's in the news, with news from today. This is today's news, guys.
In my district in Los Angeles, over 120,000 people rely on SNAP. We call it CalFresh in California. I've spoken with food bank workers, and they are worried about running out of food to give out. My constituents who depend on SNAP said that they use the benefits to buy healthy fruits and vegetables, and that they would otherwise be too expensive. Instead of negotiating with Democrats to reopen the government and lower cost, Donald Trump and Republicans are holding the country hostage, putting kids and seniors and veterans at the risk of going hungry and without access to health care. Republicans promised to lower cost. Instead, they will let healthcare premiums skyrocket, and grocery prices have continued to rise. House Democrats are ready to act.
So now they are countering everything we just heard the Republicans say, from the food costs, to what's going on with the elderly and the disabled when it comes to their funds. The Democrats are most definitely countering what we just heard from Mike Johnson and the Republicans.
Open the government and restore the services Americans need to survive. We need President Trump and Speaker Johnson to sit down with House Democrats so we can negotiate a bipartisan solution that reopens the government and lowers cost. And with that, I will now turn it over and introduce the chair of the Democratic Caucus, Pete Aguilar.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Co-Chair Bedigan, the Steering Policy Committee, Co-Chair Wasserman Schultz as well, who just arrived. I'm grateful to be here with my House Democratic colleagues and our witnesses as we continue to drive home the importance of finding a bipartisan deal that reopens the government, fixes the healthcare crisis that Republicans have created, and feeds hungry children and families. Today, it's my honor to introduce Attorney General Rob Bonta from my state of California, from our state of California. After an incredible victory in California on Tuesday to fight back against Donald Trump's attempts to rig the 2026 midterm elections, AG Bonta is here to share an update on how he's also fighting back against Donald Trump's attacks on healthcare and SNAP. I've had the privilege of working with Mr. Bonta, and I know firsthand his commitment to ensuring that Californians and Americans across the country have access to quality, affordable healthcare and food assistance that they need to survive. In California, AG Bonta is leading the way to preserve federal funding for critical programs that hardworking families rely on in their daily lives. This work is more important than ever, with the Trump administration continuing to double down on their agenda to cut health care and food assistance programs in order to free up money for their corporate tax cuts. AG Bonta, thank you so much for being here. You're now recognized.
Working? Good morning. Thank you, Chair Aguilar, for that kind introduction. Thank you, Co-Chair Barragan, for
This
your
is old
leadership.
dude from
I want to thank Peter
California.
Jeffries for inviting me. Thank you to all of you for your leadership, Congress members, to our nation, and to the people of the great state of California. I'm honored for the opportunity to be here to talk a little bit about our work at the California DOJ, holding this president accountable when he breaks the law, which unfortunately has been frequent, it's been consistent, it's been blatant, and it has been brazen. I'll do a quick overview and then get into our SNAP work. We have sued the president and his administration 46 times in 41 weeks.
Dang.
We had no intention and we have no desire to sue him at all. Certainly not once a week, but we sue him when he breaks the law. That's our position. If he breaks the law, we sue. If he doesn't break the law, we don't sue. And so he's broken the law more than once a week in ways that have hurt our states. And the Democratic attorneys general have banded together. We work as a coalition, 23 of us across the nation, holding this administration accountable when he tries to withhold $3 trillion worth of funding from our states that you, Congress, have already appropriated, when he tries to violate and trample over rights and freedoms like birthright citizenship, like the right to vote, when he tries to access the private sensitive information of your constituents, bank account information and social security information through DOJ, when he imposes unlawful tariffs that make cops.
And like I said, the Democrats are saying that Trump most definitely has the funds to fund the SNAP benefits completely. He's only choosing to do half. The Democrats are saying he has enough money to do it all, and 25 states are suing because of that.
Higher for Americans instead of lower. I've also pushed back when National Guard has been unlawfully deployed to our cities, militarizing cities and providing civilian law enforcement on American soil. So there's unfortunately a tragically long list of violations of lawlessness. This is a president who is a repeat offender, who has violated the law multiple times. I want to tell you, we are winning our cases over 80% of the time. When a court issues an order, a temporary restraining order, a preliminary injunction, a permanent injunction, and more because we're advancing our cases downfield with the passage of time, we are winning final judgments in cases. And courts are finding that Trump has broken the law. They're issuing orders stopping and blocking the unlawful actions that are hurting Americans. And we're grateful for the opportunity to meet him in court, to hold the line at the boundary of his authority and say, you cannot cross this line. You can do things lawfully, you can advance your agenda lawfully, but you may never advance your agenda unlawfully. And I also want you to know this, in all of our cases, he is following the court orders. There was one case where we had to move to enforce the court order, but the courts, their authority is alive and well, their orders are being followed, they're being complied with. Courts remain a place where you can go get justice and accountability and stop an unlawful president from hurting Americans with his unlawful actions. I do want to also mention this. Not one Republican attorney general has brought any lawsuit challenging the unlawful actions, the unconstitutional actions of this president. They have bent the knee. They have been craven. They have been cowardly. They have been supine. They've allowed the president to do what he wants when he wants, including ripping away funding from the people in their states, trampling over the rights and freedoms of the people in their states. They have stood by and done nothing. And they have also, that includes standing by while SNAP benefits get ripped away from the people in their states. And as you know, SNAP is an entitlement program. The statutory framework uses the word shall. The payments shall be made to any eligible American. And in the history of our country, SNAP has always been paid to those who are eligible, including in times of government shutdown, including the 2019 Trump government shutdown. It is a entitlement program that is obviously a safety net service. These are people who are disabled. They are veterans. They are seniors. They are children. They deserve their government to look out for them and stand up for them and make sure that when they're hungry, they are fed. That's who we are as a nation. Trump deliberately, by choice, intentionally, went out of his way to rip away $5 billion, over $5 billion of funding for over 41 million Americans who are hungry. They gaslighted the American people by...
All right, I seen somebody down there typing what the Republicans want. They said 1, no anchor babies. 2, no SNAP for illegals. 3, no free health care for illegals. 4, everyone receiving payments help has to work or volunteer a minimum number of hours or attend work classes. Check this out. So I can see some of the beginning, but let's talk about number 4, my guy. What about the ones, the elderly? What about the disabled? The ones who can't work, who, have already worked when it comes to veterans, who have put in what they need to put in order to get their money from the government. What about them? See, it's solely targeted on people who are able to work, not being able to get these benefits. But what about the people that are unable to work or unable to make it to those classes that you were talking about? What about, those people there? We're only focusing on one group of people, it seems like, and we're not looking at the whole overall picture. There are more than just able-bodied Americans on SNAP and receiving benefits from the government. It's people that are disabled. There are elderly people, people of that nature, people who do work and are struggling to make ends meet. You know what I'm saying? This is America. Let's not act like we don't know what goes on in America when we are American citizens. We have seen it all. Yes, there are people who use the government, for that assistance, and don't need to. Yeah, they need to go get a job. I agree. But what about the people who depend on this that really need it? We can't just cancel them out to focus on one group of people. No, we got to still provide for the ones who need providing for, the ones who really need it the most. Why can't we focus there? I'm just saying.
Saying, quote, the well is dry. When the contingency fund for SNAP that is supposed to be used in times like this, of times of a government shutdown, was full of $5 billion to $6 billion worth of funding. And they refused to pay benefits to hungry Americans until the Democratic attorneys general and others.
Because one thing that I have heard is that there are even federal workers who are on government assistance. People who are putting in the work and still can't make ends meet. What about those people, guys? We got to always keep in mind the other side as well. I see people making great points, but it seems like it's one-sided points when it comes to people just using the government. Everybody ain't just using the government. There's some people that really need the help of the government. We can't forget about them. That's all I'm saying.
There's a separate lawsuit as well, brought lawsuits that required him, the Trump administration and USDA to make the payments. We had to go to court and get a court order that ordered the Trump administration, the USDA, to use those contingency funds. The court also allowed the Trump administration to determine if they were going to use other funds to pay all benefits, which would have been a very appropriate thing for the Trump administration to do, given that this is an entitlement benefit. They decided not to. They decided to only use the contingency funds and make partial payments to those who are eligible across the states. That's a problem. Why? Because it is an administrative nightmare. It creates a delay. People are already not getting their benefits since the beginning of this month. It will take multiple weeks for these partial payments to be processed, for EBT cards to be loaded, and for hungry Americans to be able to get the food that they need and they deserve.
I'm not saying that y'all are saying get rid of it completely. What I'm saying is when you cut it off for everybody, you're affecting the ones that really need it too. Yeah, they are the one. They are suffering the most. When you cut it off and say, "Don't turn it back on," no, just no, I ain't. Don't turn it back on. Then you're affecting the people who really need it the most as well. You gotta, what I'm saying? You can't be one-sided. When you cut it all the way off and say, "We're not turning it back on until this happens, that happens, and this happens." Well, what about the people who really need it? You cut them off too. You cut them off too. They suffering. You cut them off too. That's all that, man. Look, I'm just saying, keep it going until you get it right. Put stipulations on it. Make it whatever you want to be. But don't cut off the people that really need it as well. It's really people that really need it as well. When you just turn it off, you affecting everybody, including the ones that don't need it, but you affecting the ones that do need it as well. While you sit at home and watch your big boy TV and eat steak and filet mignon every day, because I know everybody on the internet rich, eating, getting your food cooked by chefs and got 4 or 5 maids and butlers in your house. It's people out there that's living on the sidewalk that went and fought for our country, that ain't getting a check and can't go to the store and buy a piece of meat. Come on, man. We affecting everybody. It's not just affecting the people that you don't want to have it. It's affecting everybody. Let's keep it real. And that's why I blame both sides. I don't blame the Republicans. I don't blame just the Democrats. I blame both of them because they being too stubborn with each other to come to a conclusion that helps the American people. They keep on saying Americans are hurting. Americans are hurting. You listen to them, both sides. Americans are hurting. Americans are hurting. You turn on your TV the next day, we still in the government shutdown. Do y'all really care if Americans are hurting, or y'all just saying that because it sound good? Because I feel like if you really cared, you would come to a resolution that benefits us all instead of playing the blame game. Let me calm down, man. I'm just saying, man. I'm press play. Shout out to y'all, man. Make sure y'all getting those likes up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new.
Trump could have either paid all of the benefits or had a clean approach to how to make partial payments, including just a straight across the board percentage, which could be processed and administratively applied more easily. So we're in a place where the Trump administration seems to be saying, I will starve hungry Americans until you allow me to rip away affordable health care from sick Americans. And he is treating hungry Americans, our most vulnerable, as political pawns in a very dangerous game. It's harmful, it's disgusting, it's dangerous, and we're not going to stand for it. So we've gone to court once again to hold this administration accountable. We will continue to be committed to upholding the rule of law, making sure we protect the health, safety of our of Americans. And I just want to say that as
Gillian, it's all right.
Americans continue to be without the benefits that they deserve, we have a president who is more focused seemingly on his $300 million gold-plated ballroom, has been jet-setting overseas, and has not been attending to the needs of Americans. But the Democratic AGs and all of you are, they deserve leaders who will fight for them, who will stand up for them, who will be their champion, who will make sure that the hungry get health care. So I thank you for your leadership. I'm honored to be here with you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. We are so grateful not only for your comments today, but truly for your leadership. We were admonished by Speaker Mike Johnson this week to don't get lost in the facts. And we appreciate that you are setting forth the facts and the very real cruel choice. This using hunger as a political weapon is a choice, and we thank you for your work. I'm also grateful to our steering and policy co-chairs, to my fellow members of leadership, and especially to
Kurt. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I'm holding everybody accountable. Democrats, Republicans, Trump, and whoever else is behind this that keep on playing on the emotions of the American people, because I am an American, and I feel a way, especially when it's people that when they keep saying the American people are suffering, but they ain't doing nothing to ease the suffering. I blame all of them.
My colleagues for being here, but it is you, the witnesses, that we are really, really grateful for helping us demonstrate just how much is at stake in this fight. And I am especially grateful.
I know you wasn't, Kurt. That's why we didn't deport you. You all good, man. Have your opinion in the chat. I'm not tripping. I got my own little personal opinion. Y'all are free to voice y'all opinions. I ain't gonna call y'all no derogatory names or nothing like that because y'all views ain't the same as mine. Everybody has a right to feel however they want to feel. I just stated the way the way I feel. You're free to state the way you feel as well. You good?
For our next speaker, who can shine a light on what it means to be a mom in America right now. And we have a White House that really can't stop talking about birth rates in our country. Republicans who cannot for the life of them figure out why women aren't having more babies, while they gut Medicaid, close hospitals, dismantle Head Start, and take food off the table of families.
Yeah, but hold on, who said that? All right, so Nathan says acting like old people, vets, and disabled people are the same as the other 80% of the people on SNAP and is a Democratic talking point and a strategy. They are the reason this is happening. What I'm saying is, okay, even if that is true, what about the other 20% though, dog? You know what I'm saying? What about Nathan? What about the other 20%? You gonna make them suffer too? They gotta go hungry for days and days because you don't want the other 80% to eat. Why not feed everybody and work it out while everybody is eating? Work it out while everybody is eating. Put stipulations on it. You know, whatever the case may be, to get the people who don't need it off of it while continuing to take care of the people that do need it. What about that?
Working women do not have the resources to become a mother, let alone be a mother. 35% of the counties in America.
Because we ain't going to act like we just started having SNAP and all these other programs yesterday. This has been going on for many and many of years, and they have been working it out just fine for many of years. So if it's a problem, fix the problem, you know, that you helped to create. Fix that problem, but don't make the people who really need it suffer while you fix the problem. You see what I'm saying? Don't turn off my air conditioner, you know, and then come steal my fan. You know, I need one of the two. You see what I'm saying? Keep me cooled a little bit with my fan, you know, if you're going to take my air conditioner. That's all I'm saying.
Don't have anywhere to give birth. Most Americans live in a childcare desert. 60% of households can't afford a basic standard of living. And Republicans expect those families to give up more, to sacrifice more so that billionaires can get more. It is as hollow an agenda as it sounds, and it explains the backlash that we saw at the polls on Tuesday. We know where the American people stand. And Democrats are going to keep fighting for an economy where you can actually start, raise, and sustain a family. In the richest country to ever exist, that should not be too much to ask. So I thank everyone here for being in this fight to build that future. And our next speaker is the proud mom of 3. The founder and CEO of the Baby Stewart Foundation, Ashley Gooden Stewart. Ashley, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your work and advocacy, and the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Ashley Gooden Stewart. I live in Lamarck, Texas, with my partner, our 3 young kids, ages 1, 6, and 8. I'm a certified grief coach, nonprofit founder, and a proud member of Moms Rising. I appreciate the opportunity to share my story today and all you and everything everyone is doing to fight for working families. I appreciate that.
All right, let's stop right here for a second with the Democrats. We'll come back to them. I just got word that Trump on. Let's see what Trump talking about.
So today I'm thrilled to announce that
This is you guys'
two
president.
world's largest pharmaceutical manufacturers, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, have agreed to offer their most popular GLP-1 weight loss drug. I call it the fat drug, remember? At drastic discounts. They're very effective drugs. And so far, I've never heard anything bad about them. I only hear good about them. It's pretty. Is there anything bad about them, Bob? I haven't heard anything bad. Someday, maybe it'll come out, which will notify you immediately. But so far, I haven't heard that, including the drugs known as Zepbound and Wegovy, often called Ozempic. This is a triumph for American patients that will save lives and improve the health of millions and millions of Americans. Amazing thing. They are amazing. I want to thank Eli Lilly CEO David Ricks, a friend of mine, We worked long and hard. He and I got this whole thing started in a way. And Novo Nordisk CEO Mike Dustar for joining us today. Great, talented people. They make a lot of money. I looked at the money, but they're entitled to the money because the companies are doing very well. Along with Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary Howard Lutnick. Do you take any of this stuff, Howard?
Not yet.
Okay, good. CMS Administrator Mehmet Oz, he doesn't take it. Food and Drug Administrator Commissioner Marty McCary and Director of Medicare Chris Klump. And we have Steve, where's Steve? Is he here? Head of Public Relations for the White House. He's taking it. The United States is just 4% of the world's population and consumes only 13% of all prescription drugs, yet pharmaceutical companies make 75% of their profits from the American customer. I would say that's not so good, right? It's not exactly great. To address this chronic unfairness, I signed an executive order earlier this year instructing my administration to do everything in our power to implement most favored nations drug pricing, something that has been helped greatly by tariffs, because when nations refuse to do it, we should have put this in the case yesterday. I just say, well, if you're not going to do it, we're going to charge you a like amount of tariffs. And they immediately say, we'll do it, which means that Americans should pay no more than the lowest price offered anywhere in the world. So that you've heard for years the disparity where you'll pay $150 for a pill in New York and you'll pay $10 for a pill in London. Now you're going to pay $20 both, because the world is a little bit bigger than the U.S., so it goes up that way, but you'll pay $20 and $20.
This is live, guys. This is Trump live speech from the Oval Office.
Our country, after years of being abused by the world system. Already Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and EMD, Serrano, have agreed to drastically lower their prices for American patients. And today, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are joining the phenomenal list of the most exciting announcements. I mean, nobody's ever had announcements like, and this has to do with other pharmaceutical products also. But we're covering this today because it's such a big seller. I guess it's the #1 selling thing there is today. These are two companies that behind the groundbreaking weight loss drugs that have helped millions of Americans struggling with obesity live better, longer lives, everything else. These are the two companies that really broke ground. Until now, neither of these two popular drugs have been covered by Medicare for weight loss, and they've only rarely been covered by Medicaid. They've often cost consumers more than $1,000 per month, and some a lot more than that. Americans have been spending as much as 520% more for Zepbound and 1,400% more for Wegovy than patients in Europe. Think of that. 1,400% more than a patient in Europe for the exact same box. And that ends starting today. The other countries are not happy with us. I don't think they like me too much, Bobby, but that's okay. Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are committing to offer Zepbound and Wegovy at most favored nations rates for American patients. This will slash the cost of Wegovy from $1,350 a month to ultimately $250 a month. $1,350 to $250. Did I do a good job? They don't write about it. You know, they like to not write these things. And reduce, you think Biden could have done this? I don't think so. And reduce the monthly cost of Zepbound from $1,080 to $346. In addition, they're both committing that future GLP-1 weight loss drugs taken orally, which are currently under development, will be sold at no more than $149 per month. It's a massive, think of that. You go from $1,300 to $149 a month. We anticipate these new versions will be coming out in a very short period of time. All of these drugs will be available directly to the consumer at trumprx.gov. Trump, and why'd you use my name? trumprx.gov. It better be good. TrumpRx.gov, and I think it's turning out to be pretty amazing, right, us? Just as significantly, Medicare and Medicaid will finally cover the cost of these weight loss drugs for millions of patients suffering from obesity. Co-pays for Medicare patients will be as low as $50. This is.
Can we get 30 more likes, guys? Double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device, so click those 3 dots, hit the thumbs up. This is Trump live from the Oval Office, guys.
Tremendous savings. I mean, now you're talking about from $1,350 to $50. This is tremendous news for the American seniors, and you all remember when I had 1/8 of 1% for the year. I cut it 1/8 of, and I was so thrilled. But now we're cutting it 1,000%, 1,200%. Nobody's ever said anything like this. Nobody else could have done it, but I say that modestly. In addition, you think it was easy dealing with these people? It wasn't. You think it was easy saying your drug, Mr. Eli Lilly, that we're selling for $1,300 is going to be sold for $250.
Thank you to everybody that hit the like button.
The amazing thing, the stocks all went up. I mean, these guys they're fantastic. Because it's going to equalize the world. The world's a bigger place, and it's going to equalize. I was a little surprised to see that, but I'm happy about it. In addition, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have agreed to provide all of their other medications to Medicaid at most favored nations prices. Most favored nations, meaning that you will pay the lowest price anywhere in the world. That's what you're going to pay. Whereas before, they paid low prices, and we paid, thousands of percentile ahead more. And to sell these drugs to all consumers at deeply discounted prices via TrumpRx.com. When is TrumpRx.com opening?
The site is open. It will launch in terms of giving people prices before the end of the year.
Okay. Got to make sure it's successful. It's got my name on it. I don't want to be like so many others. I don't want to be like the train they're building in California, okay, which has about 15,000% cost overrun, or the beautiful Obama building that he's building in Chicago for the museum, which is now shuttered up and dead. They got it up, and they couldn't finish. It's about, would you say, 5 years behind schedule, and about 2,000% over budget. Then he tells us how to run Medicaid. Many of the most widely used drugs will be available for 60% off, or even more than that. In addition, all new medications introduced by Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to the American market will be sold at the heavily reduced most favored nations price. Most favored nations price, that's the best, because they have been thousands of percent lower than what we were selling in many cases. Furthermore, Eli Lilly is investing $27 billion. That's all. And Novo Nordisk will invest $10 billion. That's all. That's peanuts. In the United States to reshore, do a big domestic manufacturing job in the facilities they're going to spend. So Eli Lilly spent $27 billion. Novo is spending $10 billion in the United States. So they're building new plant and equipment. That's part of what will be $20 or $21 trillion this year. There's never been anything like it. I know nobody talks about it, but there's never been anything like, I would say, you would say, that there's never been anything like this ever, whether it's China or Europe, or you could take all of Europe, there's never been anything like this. So we're already past 17 trillion. We're going to be, I think by the time the year closes out, we'll have investments of over $21 trillion based on the way we're going. And by the way, tariffs are very important. Without tariffs, perhaps it could be a little bit different, to put it mildly. Tariffs are so important. The decision in the Supreme Court would be devastating to our country if we got a negative, devastating if we got a negative decision. But this is a great day for American health and healthcare, and for all of American patients. These are things that are miracles to have this happen. And we're bringing all our medicines, again, because of tariffs, we're bringing all our medicines. If you remember where during COVID, we made almost no medicine here. We had to go to China, we had to go to Ireland, we had to go to other places, UK. to get our, we didn't make it here. Now we're making it, we'll soon be making it all here, again, because of tariffs. And my election, but because of tariffs much more. For years, politicians have talked about making healthcare affordable, but my administration is actually doing it. Americans deserve the best healthcare in the world, and we're now getting the best healthcare at the lowest price. So I'd like to ask somebody who's doing a fantastic job, Secretary Kennedy, to say a few words, followed by Dr. Rob.
Oh my God.
And then Eli Lilly, CEO David Ricks, and Novo Nordisk CEO Mike Dustar. These are incredible stars in that business. Like Dustar is a big star. And I can tell you that David Ricks is one of the hottest people in the world in business, but the business that he's in is pharmaceutical. And the job he's done with Eli Lilly is incredible. Both of these gentlemen, they really are stars in the truest sense. And it's an honor to have you in the White House. And go to it, Bobby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to start by thanking you, Mr. President, for declaring war on chronic disease in this country. This is something no American president has ever done. If we want to solve the chronic disease crisis, we have to tackle obesity. Obesity is the #1 driver of chronic disease. 50% of our adult population are obese or overweight, and it drives about 50% of healthcare costs in this country. Diabetes, cardiac diseases, we are going to see a decline because of this historic agreement. We're going to see a decline in costs, but also, more importantly, in the afflictions themselves. There are, President Trump is the friend of the forgotten American. Obesity is a disease of poverty, overwhelmingly. And these drugs have only been available for people who have wealth. At one point, the majority of prescriptions, the highest concentration of prescriptions in this country, was the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And what about the people who live in rural areas, who live in food deserts? What about the people in urban areas who live in food deserts and are suffering from obesity and are locked into that system where they can only get ultra-processed foods, which are aggravating the problem? This will be a lifesaver to them. It's not a panacea. It's not a silver bullet. President Trump has also instructed us to address and end the root causes of chronic disease, and we're doing that. We're about to.
Yeah, he has a medical condition, guys. That's why he talk like that. I wish that he would just let somebody else read his speech. No disrespect, but I wish somebody else would just read it. When he write it and somebody else read it.
Release dietary guidelines that are going to change the food culture in this country. They're going to change the kind of food the military gets. They're going to change the kind of food that our children get. We're releasing those in December. The Presidential Council for Physical Fitness is going to get more Americans into, particularly our children, into physical activity so that we can attack the root causes of this. But in the meantime, there's nothing more important than we can do than lower this price. As I said, it is the #1 cost of all drugs. This is the biggest drug in our country.
Y'all is hell in this
chat.
chat.
Most important of all the MFN announcements we've made. This is going to have the biggest impact on the American people. All Americans, even those who are not on Medicaid and Medicare, are going to be able to get the same price for their drugs, for their GLP drugs. This happened because of the vision of David Ricks, of Mike Dustar.
Y'all stop making me laugh, man. This chat, y'all are on it in this chat.
To align the interests of the shareholders of their company.
Well, I'm glad some of y'all got a sense of humor. I said what I said one day. Oh my God, y'all should have seen the reaction of the chat. Oh, you're insensitive. Oh, he has a disease. And I was like, man, I wasn't being mean. I'm just saying, man, I would rather somebody else read his speech for him, just so, he's not struggling so bad, when he talked. Man, they was mad at me, but I was only being being honest. Like, somebody else need to read his speeches.
To join this administration, Emma Hernandez, David Brooks, and of course, Dr. Oz and Marty McGarry, who made this happen. They saw that this could be a win-win situation, that this was not a zero-sum game. The Biden administration tried to solve this problem unsuccessfully, I might add, by throwing $40 billion at it. They were able to achieve an agreement that will actually create savings for the American public. So we're making all of this available at a savings, and that's because the price of diabetes prescriptions is also going to drop. And the savings that we get from that are now going to make it available to people who do not have diabetes. People who have a BMI of 27 and above, or pre-diabetic, or have heart disease risk, they will be able to get it, but everybody will be able to get this drug, and it's going to change. We will lose, the American public, because of this agreement, will lose 125 million pounds by this time next year. So it is going to have dramatic effects on human health in this country. And I want to thank President Trump for his leadership. He said that I'd gotten a lot done as HHS secretary, and almost none of that is due to my ability. It's because I'm surrounded by people who are smarter than me, who are more able than me, and those people came into the administration because they were inspired by President Trump. People like Chris Klump are here because they see this.
You think they are smarter than you and
Yeah.
more able? No.
Believe me, they're a lot smarter than I am.
Why don't you take that job? He doesn't really mean that he's being modest, I promise you, but
It is true, unfortunately.
it's a beautiful thing.
But I want to thank you, Mr. President, because you've made me a success here by allowing me to attract these extraordinary people. And I want to again thank David Ricks, who we've been in this Oval Office again and again. You keep saying he's the smartest guy in industry, that he could talk a dog off a meat truck. But he came to the table, and Mike Newstar told me, he
Well,
said,
you convinced people for 20 years that it was okay for Europe to pay $10 and for America to pay $140. That's why they make 45, 50 million a year. He did. Finally, I said, I've had it, right? He did. But anybody can do that, and they're entitled. But now it's down to what it should be.
and Mike Newstar told me what a pleasure it was to negotiate with people who were smart, who had common sense, who were able to put themselves in his position and hammer out this deal that is good for everybody. And it's great for the American public. I want to close again by just saying that this is a tool in the toolkit. It is not a silver bullet. It is an arrow in our quiver. It will allow a lot of people who are locked into high-risk obesity to finally lose weight, to reset, and then start doing the kind of things that will address the root causes of obesity. So I want to thank these extraordinary CEOs for sticking with us on this, for allowing us to make this happen. Mike Newstar said to me, he said, we've known we've had to do this for many years. We just haven't been able to get over the edge, and that this President Trump's.
So from what I hear, I don't know how true it is. They talking about this Ozempic drug, which is basically a weight loss shot. You know, they saying it's supposed to be as low as $20, allegedly. I'm gonna say that because I don't know how true it is, but they're gonna allegedly start providing this for obese people for $20, guys. Wow.
I'm not going to change.
Science changes, and the science does not look like it's changing. It's getting stronger and stronger. Every day what we recommend is that mothers, pregnant mothers, talk to their physicians, that the mothers of small kids talk to their physicians, and we've advised the physicians to
reduce the thresholds and to reduce the amount of Tylenol that they give to children as much as possible, and only use it when it's absolutely critical.
So we're going to go through some of the deal points, but it does make itself clear that the real stake here is the forgotten man. President Trump, I believe you won the election because you remember the forgotten man. You speak to them, they hear you, they listen to you, and he connects well because he actually does things that materially change their lives. Secretary Kennedy spoke passionately, as he always does, about the problems with obesity. And just to put some very fine point numbers on this, obesity itself is responsible for half of all chronic disease and definitely generates more than a quarter of all the money we spend out of CMS, to $1.75 trillion that we spend annually. We need to address this tempest of dramatically increasing prices for healthcare, and you're not going to do it just by throwing money at the problem. You have to actually literally deal with the causes of the increase in price, and pharmaceutical prices are part of that. They've been a part of it for a long time, but this president insisted that we address it. In fact, the first time I heard this directly from you, sir, was in January at Mar-a-Lago, where he took Secretary Kennedy, myself, Mr. Ricks, who we'll hear from in a second, to dinner, and demanded explanations for most favored nation pricing and what's wrong with it. And there was not a good reason against it. Now, MAHA is critical. America will have to get fit in order to right-size the healthcare system, and MAHA has the answers. It has obesity management through diet and exercise and sleep and dealing with issues related to that. And I want to say it as clear as I can. Obesity is not an absence of GLP-1 drugs. We're all clear on that. But as Secretary Kennedy said, it is an arrow in our quiver that we must use and should use. The MAHA movement means making it easier for the right things to happen, easier for you to be healthy. If you're sitting at home and watching, that's what MAHA means to me. Reducing cost of the #1 most expensive medicine category in our country for Americans does just that. It is as MAHA as it gets. Today's the fourth MFN. President Trump highlighted the first three. Leading U.S. company, leading European company. We've dropped in fertility drugs, so we'll make lots of Trump babies, I'm hoping, by the midterms. But it's really about fairness. Fundamentally, it's fairness in pricing to Americans who have been getting ripped off, paying 3 times more than their European counterparts for the exact same product made in the same factory, in the same bottle, in the same packaging. We shouldn't be paying 3 times more, and we are no longer doing that. Fairness to the forgotten man also means dealing with the reality that they can afford a life-saving, life-changing drug that 10% or more of affluent Americans take, but folks without means can't manage it. Secretary Kennedy mentioned New York City. Actually, the #1 zip code is the Upper East Side, which is where you have property. And folks who know ritzy areas buy important real estate there because those real estate properties are worth a lot there. That should not be the #1 zip code in America for purchasing GLP-1 drugs. It speaks to the fact that we have an innately unfair system that penalizes folks who can use these medications the most. Folks in the Rust Belt. Now, what are you supposed to do if the right thing to do for your health is right there, but you can't afford to get it? Folks need to be able to utilize these life-saving medications, and being fair about its distribution is essential. And we are democratizing access to these medications and dealing with a moral imperative to make sure that all Americans have access to avoiding all the obesity-related complications by making sure they can afford, if they do things right, not just MAHA-appropriate interventions, but also medications like this. In fact, we think these deals, and this part's very important, we believe these deals within 2 years, by the time the ink dries on these contracts that were signed earlier today, within 2 years, based on our health improvements, we will be budget neutral. These drugs will not cost us money. The American taxpayers will be getting their money back. That's how important it is for us to reduce the cost of healthcare in this country, especially when it's due to preventable problems like obesity. In addition, we have an update, Secretary Kennedy. We thought it was 125 million pounds. Mr. President, our estimate, based on the company numbers as well, is Americans will lose 135 billion pounds by the midterms. But I don't measure it in pounds. I measure it in saved lives. People can sleep again because they can breathe.
135 million pounds, man. There's about to be some thin Americans out here, boy, I'm telling you.
With obesity and much more. This wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the right tools and had the ability with a team that has been spoken of early. So I want to call out Abe Sutton. He's in the back right there. He leads the CMS Innovation Center. It made the deal possible. And they are announcing today a new model a brand new model aimed at getting to the vulnerable populations amongst us.
No
these
more
medications. The
fat.
forgotten man will be able
No
to afford
more
these drugs
fat.
now. Governors will be thanking President Trump. They should be calling directly.
So, Sweet Bae, basically what's going on, they're lowering the price of Ozempic, which is a weight loss drug, and they're going to start, they're going to lower the prices, and normal Americans going to be able to get it, and it's going to be a fluctuation of thin people running around here. It's going to be a lot of thin folks, guys. No more fat. So that means all the fat people that people y'all be trying to call fat is now finna be slim real soon. They're going to lose 180 million pounds. Yeah, real talk.
Chris Klump will go through the numbers, but just focus on that 245, which is what he's going to point you to. And Chris Klump has been an unbelievable leader, an innovator. You've heard his name before. He's spoken here before, but he is continuing to change the face of CMS. And I love the fact that with his leadership, we're bringing a lot of wonderful people in. Inma Hernandez has been mentioned, John Brooks as well, and many others, including Beth Kelly, who runs the legal issues around these issues, because these guys are barracudas, Mr. President. They will take you down, slice you in little bits. Howard's been there. It's no longer happening. You've got sharp folks. We're open for business. It's a generational opportunity to serve, and people are showing up. God bless you. Let me introduce now Chris Klump, who is just makes my life easier.
And you know what? I was finna say that too. They ain't speaking on the side effects. I most definitely seen something about, makes your stomach contract or something like that, to where, you can't eat, was one of the ones I seen. And don't forget, sometimes they come back and they be having those commercials that say, if you tried the weight loss drug Ozempic, such and such and such and such and such and such, and you're entitled to compensation. Don't ever forget that part.
Most. That's what today delivers. It's a deal built
years from now
for people, for the American people, and backed by policy that works. So the most important step to getting healthy is believing that your life has value, that God meant for each of us to have purpose and joy and to live fully. And to do that, we must be good stewards of our body. And the president has been fighting to provide another tool to do just this and enable this. And it's my pleasure to outline the contours of the deal today. So first and foremost, customary with the three prior announcements, all of the customary most favored nation terms that you've grown familiar with apply to these two deals. So this is actually deals 4 and 5. Full Medicaid portfolios today at most favored nation prices. Shared savings from existing drug prices in Europe deployed back to the United States. All primary care drugs at U.S. net prices or most favored nation prices available on Trump RX before the end of the year. And most importantly, all future drug launches across commercial, Medicaid, Medicare, and the cash markets at most favored nation prices going forward. Now, GLP-1s. So first, under this agreement, starting doses of oral GLP-1s will cost just $149 a month for everyone. That's roughly 1/8 the cost of the list price today. For Medicare, manufacturers are voluntarily reducing their prices for GLP-1s currently used for diabetes and other covered indications to $245 per month across all doses. The savings generated from this change in prices will be used to provide new coverage to obesity and those who struggle with obesity and also have high metabolic or cardiovascular risk. Again, all for the same $245 a month. That means Americans struggling with diabetes and obesity, with heart disease, or other chronic conditions can access these life-changing drugs more affordably. Medicare patients, importantly, will only pay $50 a month for a copay. This is a massive reduction from what happens today. For Medicaid, Novo and Lilly have agreed to extend the same new low government pricing to all 50 state Medicaid programs should they opt in. And we encourage them to opt in, and these will be available not just for diabetes and current covered indications, but also for obesity again. And in case you're getting tired of me saying it, at the same price of $245 a month, all covered doses. On Trump RX, the average price of injectables and orals will start at $350 on average. That's compared to roughly $500 today. And that will trend down to, you guessed it, the same $245 a month over the next 24 months. That is 1/5 of the list price. It is 1/2 of the best price in the United States today. We're hoping, Mr. President, that your friend who has to travel to England to afford these drugs will no longer need to do so and can come and do it in the United States. I'll also just mention that the $149 is $1 less than what you asked us to achieve. Just gonna make sure that's clear. So I want to highlight two other really important points that make me love this deal so very much. First, this isn't about spending more, it's about spending smarter. The savings from the diabetes drug price reductions are being used in a cost-neutral way to fund the new indications for taxpayers. That's amazing, and that happens inside of that same 24-month period. It's cost neutral. We're spending the money more wisely. But second, this isn't just about lower drug prices for Americans, though it does do that, but together with physical activity, with healthy eating and diet, and where appropriate, the use of breakthrough
Boy, this chat is hell on them, man. Y'all got me laughing
is healthy
over here.
Americans. Lower chronic disease, lower costs, we estimate by tens of billions of dollars a year. And most importantly, higher productivity. Today is about freeing Americans from the weight, literally and figuratively, that holds us back. It's about unlocking the potential of every citizen to live fully, to contribute fully, and to find joy in their health. We cannot reach our full potential as a nation if we do not reach our full potential as individuals. And we cannot reach our full potential as individuals if we are not healthy. Thanks to Nova and Lily for showing up so constructively over the last several months to make this possible.
Let's get healthy,
In particular,
America.
thanks to you, Mr. President, for again demonstrating that you fight for every American, this time for potential. It's now my sincere pleasure to first introduce Dave Ricks from Lilly and then Mike Dusto from Nova.
Bring back Tabo. We need Billy Banks.
Thank you, Chris. It's truly an honor to be here today for this historic step forward to expand access to a class of medications that can fundamentally change the arc of chronic disease in our country. Of course, these are the incretin or GLP-1 agonist that we've been speaking about. For nearly 150 years, my company, Eli Lilly, has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today, are you okay?
Somebody just fell out. He fell out, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy just fell out. Is it Ozempic? Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa! Talk about medical emergency on the
Today,
spot.
are you okay? Gordon, you okay?
Whoa! Man down!
We're going. Thank you, press. Cameras, we're done with you. Cameras. They're validated. Thank you, guys.
Whoa!
About spending smarter.
Yeah, with a room full of doctors, guys. Some just
fundamentally change the arc of chronic disease in our country. Of course, these are the incretin or GLP-1 agonist that we've been speaking about.
I don't know if he's okay.
For nearly 150 years,
they ended the
my company, Eli
broadcast.
Lilly, has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today, are you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
Press, we're going. Thank you, press. Cameras, we're done with you. Cameras.
Imagine talking about a healthy America and then somebody pass out while it's going on, man. Hey, man, can't beat live television, man. That is crazy, y'all. Prayers for him, whoever he is. You know, I don't know who he is. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, but he's going through something traumatic. Prayers for him. But yeah, he just fell out on live television, on live internet. It's crazy, guys. Talking about health in America, you know, this, that, and the third, and then the guy just passes out in the middle of the speech, guys. Pray. I hope he's okay.
Are you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
Press, we're going. Thank you, press. Press, right here. Guys, cameras, we're done with you. Cameras. Press, step out, please. Thank you, guys.
I think they better open back up healthcare, guys. Some of us out here are gonna need it, man. You ain't got the government shut down. They need to open back up the government, man. That guy right there most definitely gonna have to go to the hospital. I don't know what it is that's wrong with him, but something made him pass out, man. And yeah, right while they was talking about healthcare in America, he fell out. You know what I'm saying? Prayers for him and his family. I don't know what's going on with him. But yeah, man, they ended that broadcast. That was the end of that speech. They might come back tomorrow or later on to fill us in and what exactly is going on. But yeah, that's that on that, man. You know what I'm saying? Prayers for him. I'm pretty sure it's all over the news now. I'm pretty sure they talking about it somewhere else. People don't just fall out every day. Nancy Pelosi stepped down, guys. Well, not stepped down. She's retiring. After this year,
her future in Washington.
They told us a little bit about it earlier. Here goes some more on that situation while I try to find out what happened to that guy right there, and we'll come back to it in a second.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has just officially said she will not be running again for office. Here's part of Pelosi's announcement just posted.
I say to my colleagues in the House all the time, no matter what title they have bestowed upon me, Speaker, Leader, Whip, there has been no greater honor for me than to stand on the House floor and say, I speak for the people of San Francisco. I have truly loved serving as your voice in Congress, and I've always honored the song of St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace, the anthem of our city. That is why I want you, my fellow San Franciscans, to be the first to know. I will not be seeking re-election to Congress. With a grateful heart, I look forward to my final year of service as your proud representative. As we go forward, my message to the city I love is this. San Francisco, know your power. We have made history. We have made progress. We have always led the way. And now we must continue to do so by remaining full participants in our democracy and fighting for the American ideals we hold dear. In doing so, we ensure that our city shines on as a beacon of hope, justice, and peace for the country and for generations to come.
This means Pelosi will bring to a close more than 3 decades on Capitol Hill and end one of the most influential careers in the history of American politics.
Absolutely.
Pelosi made history in 2007 when she became the first and so far only woman to serve as Speaker of the House. With today's announcement, Pelosi will leave office when her current term ends on January 3rd, 2027. Mika Pelosi, 85 years old. She is someone who legend doesn't begin to cover it.
It really doesn't.
Particularly as first House Speaker, and then the way she sort of embodied Democratic resistance during President Trump's first term in office.
And on that in a moment, but Speaker of the House twice. And this is a woman who entered the political arena in her 40s after having 5 kids and drew so much of her accomplishments and what guided her to what fights to take on was her faith. Was constantly going back to her faith and how that would drive her forward. And she and her family, along with her, by her side, have given so much in all of her years of service, Joe.
Yeah, and Mika, obviously, I've known the Speaker a long time. Loved her. I've known the Speaker a long time. Loved her. Worked with her back in Congress, actually, every year. She was a liberal from San Francisco. I was a conservative from Northwest Florida. But every year we would come together and we would fight for human rights in China, religious liberty, religious freedom in China. We would fight to bring attention to the fact that Americans were having their intellectual property stolen by the Chinese year in and year out, and fought against a lot of huge forces that, of course, massive multinational corporations based in America that wanted to get into the Chinese market and really couldn't give a damn about human rights, really couldn't give a damn about religious liberties, religious freedom, really couldn't give a damn about American intellectual property rights being stolen by the Chinese every year. But Nancy Pelosi did, and she fought hard for that, and I loved working with her on that. Of course, in 2007, Mika, as John Lemire said, she became the first woman Speaker of the House. And I must say, it is so hilarious, these Republicans running around carping about DEI, DEI. Yeah, nobody ever said that about Nancy Pelosi, and I'll tell you why, because Nancy Pelosi was a hell of a lot better counting votes as Speaker of the House than anybody I ever saw. All the men added together I ever saw. Bills didn't get on the floor unless they were going to pass. And there's still a lot of talk about the Affordable Care Act, about Obamacare. It's Nancy Pelosi that got that over the finish line. She was just extraordinary in every way. You talked about her family. I know we were there with her in the Speaker's office before she got sworn in 2017. And she had tremendous faith, and she doesn't talk about it a whole lot, but she was talking a great deal about her faith on that day. And then she showed me a picture of her father and smiled and told a story. And I said, wow, what an incredible day. I bet you wish he were here to see me. Without thinking twice, I wish he was here to see what you're doing today. Without thinking twice, the Speaker put down the picture and said, he is. My father's always with me. And she said, and I'm going to be with him one day. I mean, again, it's a faith that brokered no dissent. She believes, she's a believer, she's a strong Catholic. And
yeah, so Nancy Pelosi, guys, is retiring. More breaking news since we had to break from Trump, man. A Cowboys player has passed away. Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Keelan passes away at age 24 today, guys. I think it was a car wreck. Let's get more into it.
That statement is from Jonathan Persley.
Hold on. They ain't talking.
Studio Nealon's death. Moving back in from the Fox 4 digital studio. We are continuing to learn more about Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Nealon's death. It was reported on Thursday morning. Nealon was a second-round pick of the Cowboys. His cause of death has not been released at this time.
They haven't released how he passed.
We do have a statement from Nealon's agent saying, "I'm shattered to confirm
that my client and dearest friend Marshawn Nealon passed away last night.
fight his way from a hopeful kid at Western Michigan with a dream of being a respected professional for the Dallas Cowboys. Marshawn poured his heart into every snap, every practice, and every moment on the field. To lose someone with his talent, spirit, and goodness is a pain I can hardly put into words. My heart aches for his family, his teammates, and everyone who loved him, and I hope they feel the support of the entire football community during this unimaginable time. I ask that you give his loved ones the privacy and compassion they need as they grieve this tremendous loss." Again, that statement is from Jonathan Persley, Marshawn Nealon's agent. The 24-year-old Cowboy announced dead at the age of 24. You're looking at live pictures from Frisco. We are going to keep this up We have reporters headed to Frisco as we look to learn more about the death of Marshawn Nealon.
Wow, guys. I seen in the comment section over there, they were saying that his mom passed away recently. But they didn't know how she passed away. And now he has passed away, guys. Lord, have mercy, man. We just watched the old buddy fall out. And now they talking about now they're talking about Marshawn Keelan passes away at 24, guys. See what they talking about over here. See if they say anything. Just mostly silence right now. This is him. Prayers up, man. Prayers for his family. Prayers for all the people that will be affected by his loss, guys, by his passing. Hold on. I think if I go forward, they're talking. Hold up.
And yeah, and so what we were told is that initial reports indicated that a male suspect, later identified as Marshawn Nealon of Plano, fled the scene on foot after he crashed that vehicle. It says during initial reports,
listen, hold on.
South
hold on. I heard something about a crash. I told y'all something about a crash. Hold on.
Be like this, Lauren. I think
what helps the most for the team to cope with it is to be together, so they're not.
Not till Monday, right? They don't need to report till practice.
They said something about a crash, guys. Double tap that screen. Get the lights up. Breaking news, man. Cowboys defensive end.
Developing story, not something that, of course,
Keelan passes away, guys.
No, definitely not. So this all started
involved in a crash.
Looking at what Frisco police have put out. It said that Frisco police started last night at about 10:30 in the evening, and they responded to assist the Texas Department of Public Safety locating a vehicle, it says here, that evaded troopers during a pursuit. And after losing visual of the vehicle, troopers located it minutes later, crashed on southbound Dallas Parkway near Warren Freeway. So this right here, we believe, are some of the tracks that when the car, when he presumably lost control of the car, these are some of the tracks. This is right near the start.
Right near, where these players live and work.
Yeah, and so what we were told is that initial reports indicated that a male suspect, later identified as Marshawn Nealon of Plano, fled the scene on foot after he crashed that vehicle. It says during the course of the search, officers received information that he had expressed suicidal thoughts to maybe some family members, to possibly his girlfriend at the time. And he was later located at 1:31 in the morning, deceased with what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Whoa!
The cause of manner of the death still, again, to be confirmed by the Collin County Medical Examiner's Office. When we first got word of this morning, the Cowboys put out a statement just basically expressing their condolences, not releasing a cause, not revealing a cause at that time. And this is what they've shared. This is the post that they shared, expressing their sadness, their prayers going to his girlfriend, Catalina, and his family as well. You sat down one-on-one with Marshawn not too long ago, and did a whole interview with him, and he talked about some of the struggles in his life. One, he lost his mom not too long ago.
Yeah, we sat down in August of 2024. Okay. This was just his second season this year in the NFL. So August 2024, he had just been drafted that spring by the Cowboys in the second round out of Western Michigan, which it's not an Alabama or a Texas. It's not a huge program. So to be drafted out of a program like that in the second round is a huge accomplishment. And we really talked in depth about how his mother had passed away unexpectedly that February. And that's when the NFL Combine is. And that would have been a really easy opportunity to just say, I can't do this right now.
Man, y'all.
he continued on, got drafted, and was playing for his mother. He would bring her ashes with him to every single game, and so
He had a huge play the other night, right?
He
Monday
did.
Night Football. I mean, he was the guy.
yeah, the Cowboys were down 10-0 at home to the Cardinals, and punt gets blocked, and a bunch of Cowboys special teamers are racing to the end zone, and it's Marshawn that lands on it to score the first points of the game. It was his first NFL touchdown because on defense you don't typically score a lot of touchdowns, and so it's really just surreal to think that 3 days later he's gone.
I think that's what's probably going to be puzzling for a lot of people. Like, you got drafted, you're playing for the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. You win this. I mean, you score this awesome play, but to know that he clearly was struggling so much, I think sometimes that's hard for people to understand. Like, you're not walking in their footsteps. You may be a Dallas Cowboys player, but that doesn't mean you're not dealing with life.
Well, and if you're watching a little bit of this video, you'll kind of see it at points. I mean, this is a guy, and this isn't a first with a story like this, that huge smile.
Oh yeah.
Huge laugh.
Electric, yeah.
And so it's just not, you never would have known that there was something going on.
No. TMZ, we're going to check in with TMZ's Michael Babcock. Michael, we check with you every week, and sure enough, I was following along as soon as you guys posted. One of the first ones to post. What is very, at least for me to hear, very disturbing scanner traffic from police about what was unplaying last night and early this morning. What can you tell us? What have you guys learned?
He lost his mom, guys. That had a profound effect on him to where he wound up taking himself out, guys. Prayers for his family, man. I don't know if he got kids, but yeah, this is most definitely sad, man. Keelan of the Dallas Cowboys, guys, passes away from a self-inflicted wound, guys. Sad.
Traffic. And I'm
Look, see what I wrote here. You hear multiple times police saying he's armed, because someone had told them that he was, that he had a weapon on him, that he was mentally not stable at the time. Believed to be, when you listen to the scanner traffic, it sounds like it's his girlfriend that had notified authorities. Okay. You also hear at some point one of the officers, and I think it's maybe whoever it is that's in charge of directing the officers, says, "We now have a call from the NFL. The NFL has now called because they believe this is one of their players." So you can see how quickly this escalated.
Yeah, when there's a situation like this, typically if a family member has alerted the team, given just the resources the Cowboys would have, and then they can lean on the league, and so it sounds like from what we're hearing that the football.
What's wrong with the audio? Is the audio okay? Can everybody hear good? Let me know what's wrong with the audio. I see one of my moderators typing audio. What's wrong with it? Okay.
Maybe we can bring this up at some point. The second video on there is him shooting hoops with Marshawn Kneeland.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. Here, we'll just turn it around. You can see. So this is Dax. I'm just going to turn it to this camera right here, maybe. Let's see if we can pull up this camera. So it's Dak and Marshawn, and they're just joking around, looking like they normally look like in a locker room, right, Jeff? And throwing baskets into, and throwing what?
Cornhole, bags.
Cornhole, and they were doing.
Michigan, they might have called it bags. He might have called it bags. Dart. So, I mean, just to what I was sort of saying much earlier on in the show, Lauren, this was a guy who you just saw him having fun. You saw him shooting basketballs in the locker room, and it's just it's tragic. And it's not the first tragedy that this team has dealt with, obviously throughout its history, but even in recent years. Also in that same 2020 season, they lost the strength coach, Marcus Paul, very tragically, not a suicide.
So, Keelan, you know what I'm saying, basically unalived himself, guys. They're saying that basically it has something to do with the passing of his mother, and he was very hurt behind it and wound up taking himself out the game, man. Prayers for his family. Prayers for his family, guys. They telling me Trump back on. Let's see. Man, Trump ain't back on. Trump still, they is not back on. Whoever said that should be ashamed of themselves.
And we cannot reach our full potential as individuals if we are not healthy. Thanks to Nova and Lily for showing up so constructively over the last several months to make this possible. In particular, thanks to you, Mr. President, for again demonstrating that you fight for every American, this time for potential. It's now my sincere pleasure to first introduce Dave Riggs from Lilly and then Mike Dusto from Nova.
Great, thank you, Chris. It's truly an honor to be here today for this historic step forward to expand access to a class of medications that can fundamentally change the arc of chronic disease in our country. Of course, these are the incretin or GLP-1 agonist that we've been speaking about. For nearly 150 years, my company, Eli Lilly, has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs.
Patricia, they are not on. Yeah, Gillian, Patricia lied. Go ahead and time her out to tomorrow for lying, talking about they back on. Or you, hold on, don't do it yet. Wait, because she may have been asking, but didn't put the, well, too late. Well, there you go.
But today we, oh, you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
Press, we're going. Thank you, press. Press, right here. Guys, cameras, we're done with you. Cameras.
And that was the end of that, guys. You know what I'm saying? So prayers for that guy as well. Can we get 9 more on that like button, man? I need 9 more people to double tap their screen or click the 3 dots, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new, man. I most definitely walked y'all down through day 37 of the government shutdown, one of the longest in U.S. history, as the as the Republicans and the Democrats continue to blame each other for the shutdown. I believe it's both of their faults. We got Trump that went live saying that they're basically looking to lower the price of Ozempic, you know, to make more Americans fit in America, guys. You know, I hope that they hurry up and get this shutdown over with, you know, so we can get back to normal life. They need to iron it out. They need to have discussions and speak on what needs to be spoke on so they can resolve this issue they're having between both parties so that we can do what it takes to benefit all Americans, you know, all Americans, you know. It just is what it is. We are Americans, guys. So shout out to everybody in the building. I appreciate everybody who pulled up. If you subscribe to the channel, most definitely be looking for me to come back if they bring back the conference from the Oval Office that they're talking about, where we were interrupted by that dude passing out. Shout out to the new subscriber. Thank you. Shout out to the new subscribers as well as the old subscribers, man. Shout out to all of my members. I'm most definitely nothing without y'all. And shout out to my moderators for keeping this chat running smooth. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Man, y'all be safe out there. Oh yeah, the Cowboys defensive end Keelan basically took himself out the game, guys, due to the stresses brought on by the passing of his mother. Prayers for his family, you know, and all affected by his passing, guys. And with that being said, I'm getting ready to make my grand exit. I'll catch y'all later on, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all. Sidewalk Gang, checking out. Y'all be safe out there until I see y'all again, man. I'm gone.